All right, hey everybody, TG here. Let's make sure we got everything up and running. We should. Let me get one more thing up here. Got the light. That way, there we go. Okay. So I hope everybody can see me out there on the social medias. We got YouTube, Facebook, X, all that kind of stuff. And then, yeah, Omer Mirza, looks like we were good to go in the Moxie room. So I was on the mic earlier this morning. Remember, we have FOMC. So, market's going to act a little bit, probably soft, a little bit quiet for that. And then anything goes when Jerome Powell starts speaking. So whether he says anything in his report, whether they ask him questions, we'll kind of see what kind of mood he is in. And for those of you who keep track of his ties, let me know which color means what, because I know that there's a little bit of insider things, like he's feeling angry today, or he's feeling a little dovish today, more like a hawk or a dove, and his color ties seem to help denote that. So anyway, let me know about that. For the rest of you, wanted to let you know that I think it's about time to start talking about the Money Show. It's February 17th, 18th, and 19th. It's going to be in Las Vegas, which is great. That's actually how I met John Carter about 5 years ago and got here at Simpler Trading. I ran into him, said, hey, I'm looking for a way to step up. And that is how we began our relationship. So definitely got a soft spot in my heart for the Vegas Money Show. Should be a great time. If you guys are going to be out there, come see me. Let me know. We can grab a drink. We can all hang out. We did a big social, happy hour, social hour thing. I think it was last year or 2 years ago when I was with John Carter at the Vegas Money Show. And you guys can see here if you go, my session is on Wednesday, February 19th at 2:45 p.m. And basically, I'm going to be talking about the small caps and kind of how they are going, because, and not to be political about this, but back in 2020, the small caps absolutely ripped when Joe Biden got elected. And I think it just comes down to, who's the president, what's the administration, what are their policies about? And this year, we saw very much the same thing. We are seeing the small caps and a lot of different industries and sectors really rip now that Trump is in control. And so we're seeing that. We're continuing to see some growth. We got a little bit of a misstep on Monday with that DeepSeek thing, but other than that, a lot of these things are looking like they're gonna come back. The nuclear stuff is bouncing back. I like that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, I'm seeing some really good signs of this. And basically, as I've shown, I opened up a $25,000 account. I doubled it in a few months based on the performance of the market and what's happening. And so I just wanted to show people like what's going on out there, and we're having a good time. Like it's a struggle to only pick a few stocks as opposed to wanting to trade all the stocks, because there are so many stocks that are doing well out there. Okay, so let's do that. And then for the Moxie crew, I left you off on what generally I was looking for things to be coming back, or continuations, or reversals from a pullback and a downtrend. And as I was going through this and we were talking about the S&P and what I was looking for from the S&P basically yesterday to today going into the rest of this week, I was thinking about that. And then I was looking at Google. And for now, Google is doing the thing that I wanted to show you guys as far as what we're going to be looking for from the market. And what that is right here on the 15-minute time frame. I want to see if price is going to continue to hold that 15-minute 50 right there. And that's the same thing I want to see from the S&P today. So the S&P is coming down today, pulling back into the 15-minute 50. Totally makes sense for now. There could be some shenanigans coming up with Jerome Powell and his speech and all that stuff. But for now, I want to see if that happens. We're still not quite out of the woods. We might have an elf shoe here on the hourly chart. We're mostly down here at the daily 21. And really big picture, I mean, we've got a squeeze. We don't know which direction that's going to fire yet, but doesn't this look pretty bullish to you? I think it would. And it may not really get going until earnings. So whatever you guys are going to be doing for Google or trading some of this stuff, just be prepared that this thing may not actually get going until earnings. And so then it's an earnings play. Okay, so that's kind of what's up with there. Hopefully it starts to set up and show some things ahead of time. That would be great. But we'll see how that works out. And again, if you look at the monthly and weekly on Google, you can see here it is at basically all-time highs. I mean, as Henry always says, there's nothing bearish about new all-time highs. And so I'm looking at that and I'd say that looks pretty good. I think it's just a matter of time until this thing wants to move up. So Google is one of those names that we're watching. We are also in FNGU, which is the leveraged ETF of the FANG stocks. And this thing's been doing well. We had that really big pullback on Monday. I hope I hope those of you out there, I'm seeing a lot of eyeballs out there on the social medias. I wonder if this actually tells me. Oh, yes. So, okay, yeah, we have most people on the Simpler Trading X platform. Okay, so that's where most of the eyeballs, we got the next best from my profile, and then we got Facebook and YouTube. That's pretty cool. I can actually see where you guys are coming from. So good to know. All right, and then as far as we got that, we knew, and this, if you guys go back and look at my video that I put out on Sunday, my weekly market update, I said, hey, this market definitely needs to pull back this week. Didn't expect the news to come out about DeepSeek, but basically what I thought was going to happen in probably 3 days, because we knew we had the FOMC today. I was expecting kind of the market to stay weak, pull back, drift lower over the course of 3 days into the FOMC, and then we kind of see where it goes from there. Those 3 days got compressed into basically overnight, Sunday into morning, and that's where the market just absolutely dropped. So it's kind of like ripping the Band-Aid off and getting this pullback over, as opposed to dragging it out for 3 days is kind of how I'm looking at it. And yeah, you can see we certainly filled and fixed that gap that we had going into the weekend. For FNGU, that gap was Netflix. So thank you, Netflix. And yeah, things came back down and then rallied right back up. And remember, so those of you in the Moxie room, you guys know where I'm going with this one. You can see yesterday, see that gap right there on the hourly chart for FNGU, and you see the gap here on the 15-minute time frame. That's the kind of stuff that I said, because it was my last post yesterday. I said, hey, let's see if we get a little bit of softness today going into the FOMC. Yesterday was actually a pretty good rebound, but so far it was just a bounce. We need follow through. This is what we're looking for that follow through. We need price to come down, find support, and if we get follow through from this point back up, hey, things are great. Now, if it doesn't, and if it comes down or does anything else, okay, we might need to kind of reassess and see how things are and what's going on with this. But basically, this is working out pretty nicely. Remember, up, pull back, and then hopefully keep going. And that's what we want to see. So for now, I'm happy with everything. FNGU pulled back to the daily 50. That's looking fine. If we look at the hourly chart, it was a big move. But if you look here, price below the 50, the Moxie indicator above 0, that's what I call a trampoline move. That is when price is below the 50, but the Moxie indicator is above 0. For those of you on the social medias and stuff, maybe don't know what that is. Imagine trying to take a beach ball and you try to push that underwater. There's a lot of force and you let go of that, the thing wants to shoot back up. That's basically what this is. And if you think about the 50 SMA as your surface, your water surface, that's your water. And then price is your beach ball. And you're trying to shove price down underneath the surface of the water. And the buoyancy is the Moxie indicator, because notice how the Moxie indicator is above 0. And, it's got that upward pressure. It's bullish, wants to go up. It's like it's going up. So why are you trying to push me underneath the water? And so once that downward pressure underneath the 50 gets released, boom, up it goes. And so that's when it works, and that's where we have to, that's why I always say it's potential until it fires. And then that's why that happens, is like just trying to shove that beach ball underneath the water and then poof, up it goes. It can also be like a trampoline. Basically this is your trampoline material. You jump on the trampoline and then it shoots you back up again. Really, really good stuff. Good fun stuff. We've had a relatively new subscriber, Lulu, who's in the chat quite often. And he just told me yesterday, he's like, man, I love this trampoline setup. Wherever he's looking at it, he loves it. It's a fun one. I was like, yeah, basically it's a buy the dip situation. And, when I was trying to learn how to trade and all that stuff, and I didn't know, great, buy the dip. It's like, I don't even know what that means. How do you know it's not a buy the dip? Or, how do you make sure you don't buy something that's going down even more, or catching a falling knife, or all these things that was being talked about out there. And I just never knew what that was. And I couldn't distinguish the difference between a buy the dip or a downtrend. And it wasn't until I started to work with the Moxie indicator and refine it and have it teach me, because, you get a new tool and you start developing these things and you have to figure out, how is it working? What is it telling me? And it's once I got that it gave me the backbone as to how these things work, and to understand that no, the overall trend is still up in this situation. And even though price is down, it's probably going to come back up, and that might actually be a good dip buy situation. I'm trying to think if there are other names that we've been trading recently. Let me just kind of move over to CART, because I see CART finally moving up a little bit. Yeah, this is a good example. So CART has been, we've traded this a few times. We had a great move right up here into earnings. And then we've been adding to it all along here. This whole area, we've been adding to it. And then we finally had another dip. So once again, like the old me, the pre-Moxie me might freak out on something like this, because it's looking like it's doing great. And then you get this big dip. And I'm like, oh no, I need to get out. And most likely the old me probably would have bought right here, because that looks like that's where the change of trend. And you can see here where price is starting to get above the hourly 50. And there's a good chance that the old me probably would have bought CART right there. And then, they say, hey, you don't want to let a winner turn into a loser and all this kind of stuff. So once you start having a profit, move your stop up to break even, right? That's another thing that has been taught to me, and I'm sure all of you guys too. And you're like, I don't really know what that means, because here I have a profit. So do I move my stop up now to break even? Because then look what happens. You get this little dip, and probably right there, now you get stopped out. You're like, oh man, I was trying to be nice. I was trying to like respect my account and do what they say. Is like, you have a profit, move your stop up to break even. And then you get tagged out perfectly like that. Or if it starts to come down like this, you're like, oh no, it's coming down to my entry. I better get out. And you panic because you don't know if it's going to go lower, and you don't want a winner to turn into a loser, right? And then you get out and then just fumble the whole trade. And then you end up like looking at it later and it keeps going higher. Like, oh man, I wish I knew that. Like, how do I figure that out? Well, if you look at the Moxie indicator, notice how the Moxie indicator was still above 0. So again, like, momentum is up, momentum and energy is up. And so when price dips below the 50, indicator above 0, it's a potential trampoline move. So I'm going to lean that direction till proven otherwise. And then you can see it comes right back around with a vengeance, just like that beach ball shooting out from the water that you tried pushing under it. You can also look here. Here's price underneath the hourly 50. There's the Moxie indicator above 0. And that's another trampoline move right there. So all along this way, these are dips to be bought. And so far you can see that CART continues to work well for stuff like that. So yeah, coming a long way. I can even see the differences of kind of how the old me would trade and going through some of these things and just getting better with this, So for any of you who are kind of new, I know it's a very steep learning curve, and it's a long learning curve. It is. But fortunately, you have people like us over here at Simpler, to where we're trying to show you everything we know, how these things work, and even just guide you through it. That was the other thing. For as much as, I did subscribe to people, and I had other people like Sue that I would listen to, it just, I think that we didn't have quite the same thing. I didn't have any of these trading rooms quite like this. We had like a Google Groups, and then we would actually go out to stock trading seminars. So my dad and I would fly out to these places, and we'd spend 3 days of just basically trying to drink from a fire hose to understand this stuff and take in all of these lessons from the professionals. And then you come back and try and work on this, and little by little you start to gain experience with this. And then it's just time in the seat, just experiencing this kind of stuff and like, oh, okay, that's what this means. And then, I think now that we have technology like this, we're on the mic hours every day, talking to you guys, showing you this, you can interact, you can ask these questions. And I think this is where you can help shorten your learning curve. And it's, as I said, it's still going to be, you still got to learn your own lessons, but to be able to go through this stuff and, kind of sit next to me, watching me go through this, and then we discuss it. Hopefully you guys start to kind of connect those dots a little bit faster. And that's really what we're here for. So yeah, CART, it's been really super slow. If you bought options, hopefully you bought enough time on this one, but there's nothing wrong with it. Everything has been working out beautifully with this chart in this stock. I mean, look, it is clearly in an uptrend, and it has been doing well with these lower trend lines. And so, hopefully at some point, maybe it gets a little bit more exciting. It does have a squeeze setting up, and maybe the powers that be are just kind of keeping this contained because, they're loading up their position. Like, for example, I think that this big one was when the news came out that CART was added to the S&P 400, I think it was. And so, they got all those back channels and stuff like that, dark pools, as Cody refers to them and trades them. And so I have a feeling, of course, they're, again, back channel deals, black pools, they can buy blocks of things. So think about this. A lot of companies and a lot of investment firms had to then buy CART because it got added to the S&P 400. Now they have to add to that index. And all this volume, and we barely, this exact day, we barely move. We jump up a little bit, and then look at this. They keep it contained. So the idea is that they don't want to necessarily squeeze themselves at a good price, especially if they have to accumulate this. And so what they probably do is they make the deals and they said, okay, we need to keep buying this, but we don't want to run up the price. And so, they start, getting everything they need. They start lowering the float and they start taking up the slack. But look at this, perfectly contained. And so, we've got a big long squeeze. We've got squeezes here on the hourly chart. We're just waiting for this thing to get going. And I think we're pretty close. I think we're sure looking darn close like that. But we have been in this thing for quite some time. And, I think from what we had, I think even I bought it from here. And so we're up, I'll call it 12, 13% from there. And then our original entry, I think we got it from right around here. Our original entry, we're up 35% or so from that. And we'll just see where this thing goes. I don't usually set targets because you just never know where these things go. For example, like SoundHound. Glad I didn't set a target on this thing. Otherwise, gosh, you probably would have left some money on the table. So this one, I think we got, I think it was actually right here. I think we got a little over, 200%, a little over 200% on SoundHound. So yeah, that's why I don't set price targets. And now that SoundHound's pulled back, we're still watching it. It didn't get nearly as affected by that whole AI DeepSeek thing as I might have thought. There are other sectors that got hit a little bit harder, but you can see here that's still trying to kind of figure itself out. It looks like it's starting to do a double bottom, and I'm kind of interested. I want to see if this thing starts to hold. In fact, this morning I was making a new list of all the names that were kind of setting up in very, very similar fashions. Names that are pulling back to their weekly 21s, names that are doing double bottoms, stuff like that on the daily and hourly. So it looks like SoundHound I'm going to have to add to that list because they are all setting up the same, which is encouraging because, again, talking about my old trainers and coaches, Sue would always talk about they travel in packs and they bring their friends. And the whole AI thing or the nuclear thing, they're all going to kind of move together. But what I'm seeing right now is that all of the market is starting to set up the same. And what that means for me is I'm looking around, I'm seeing a bunch of names pulling back, like look at this, right into their weekly 21s, and they're just waiting. So we had a nice big run up. We had our pullback, the whole market pulled back during December, then a little bit into January. And now we're just kind of waiting for them to warm up again. The market's still trying to consolidate and start to move up. And I'm looking at this stuff and they all look like they're getting ready to go. So I'm pretty encouraged that I think whenever these things start to get up and go, maybe everything's kind of waiting for the FOMC. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, I think things are looking good. We're just kind of waiting again for the IWM. We had 7 weeks of a market pullback, and we're only just now reversing. And I hope we start moving up like that. But that's why we're in this area waiting for the market to make its next leg up. And we're waiting for a lot of these tickers to actually start going. So let's see, looking at CABO. I haven't looked at that one in a while. Yeah, so let's first start here. CABO obviously was a very strong name, but when I was looking at it in through here, you could make some money still if you're kind of short term. But I looked at that from a swing trader's perspective. I was like, that's a little too high for me to be chasing. I need something to reset because you can see here it's running the third ATR. Look at that gap between the moving average. Look at that gap between the moving average, and we need a reset. Just like it pulled back there, there. So I'm at least encouraged now. I'm saying, yes, it has now taken the froth out. This looks like there could be an opportunity. So let's dive in a little bit lower and see what that looks like. So you come down here and you can see, yep, look at this, totally pulling back the same time the market did. Basically, look at that, all of December pulled back just like the market. And now, just like the market, it started to move back up. You can even see this is the Moxie indicator for work. You can see here, I guess at work, price down, Moxie indicator up. There is your positive divergence. And if you look at this, we were just talking about a trampoline move, weren't we? Notice how price right there is below the hourly 50, but notice the Moxie indicator is above 0. Just like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. And when you release that beach ball, look at that move. So yeah, that's a pretty good setup. And you could see even here the continuation as price bull flagged into the hourly 50 and it continued to shoot up. So yeah, this is looking great. Now, obviously, I don't want to be chasing this right now. If this wasn't already on your list and on your radar and you didn't pick it up back here, you're going to have to wait. If you're already in it, great, but if you're looking to get into this or something like that, you do not want to be chasing this right here. Okay. It's already had its move. It's up here out of the outer range on the hourly chart. So at this point, again, I'm going to have to wait for the next opportunity. It's had its first opportunity. There will be many more. And so I'm just going to have to see what this thing wants to do in the next few days, couple weeks, as far as pulling back, flagging something to where I can pinpoint and say, yep, that looks like a better buy situation. So good first move. This is following through quite nicely. We're seeing this with quite a few names that we're in. And now we just have to be patient for the next something. So give it a little bit of time, but yeah, overall looking much better than it was before. I wouldn't want to be chasing this thing up here. And you can see here's your Moxie price trigger telling you like, yeah, don't go for it yet. So there you go. All right. Yeah, I'm seeing more eyeballs over there in the social media area. Boy, we've doubled over on the X platforms. Nice. We got all those stragglers coming in. Okay, so I'm going to be wrapping this up. Since we do have so many eyeballs here, I want to show you right here. So to let you guys know, it's kind of start time to talk about the Las Vegas Money Show. If you guys are going to be there, let me know. We can hang out. I do also have a presentation Wednesday, February 19th, 2:45 p.m. And then, I'm going to be hanging around for the rest of the day. I've got a flight, I think like 7 o'clock that night. So, I got time to kill. And then I'm going to be there Monday afternoon and then Tuesday and then into Wednesday. So I'll be out there shaking some hands, see if I can make some business happen. And there's a networking thing on Tuesday that I want to check out. Plus I got a buddy who lives in Las Vegas. So we're going to go hang out. So it's kind of a fun time to get out in Las Vegas, right? So yeah, come check it out. We're going to be talking about the small cap plays because, we're seeing them take off. Basically I've doubled all my accounts, and one specifically, $25,000 account that I opened up a few months ago, doubled it in a few months, and just trying to see what we can do with that. So yeah, we're having a good time with these small caps. Things are really starting to move again. So very, very happy about this. Clearly, you can see that with things like CABO, and we wanna do this. SP. So for swing trades, do I exit at weekly, monthly, 30 TRs? Generally, yes, but of course, you can see that things continue to move, like this. But it's always kind of prudent, if you get a shot right up there, take some off, because like I showed you with NNE and OKLO, you never know if there's going to be news or something else that comes out. So it's always good to cash some in, and you know what? If it happens to keep going up, great. You can keep a piece on, and then you can sell it a little bit later. But for me, yeah, it's a good rule of thumb that once it gets up there, take some off. Okay. All right, guys. So thanks again for everybody on the social medias out there. I'm seeing a bunch of eyeballs. It's kind of funny because it's actually an eyeball symbol and then a bunch of numbers next to it. So I just imagine all these eyeballs out here looking around. So good to see you out here. Remember, we got the money show coming up, and yeah, hope you guys enjoy. So come on over. You can always do the $30 30-day trial for $7 in the Moxie room. And we're having a great time out here. So yeah, I'll catch you guys later. Take care.